right, trailer produced by the Red Pill. We're about to go in now. Strap on your seatbelts. Make sure y'all go get what y'all got to get because it's about to get hot up in here. Even though we got the AC on right now, we getting ready to get right. Brother Red Pill.
All right. Let's do it. Let's get it in. All right. Let's begin this by defining what technology is so we're not, confused, because ignorant Negroes and people who don't have any knowledge of what they're dealing with will say technology is a white man thing. Okay? You need to sit down because that sounds super retarded. While you're on your smartphone or on live stream watching us, you're like, technology is the European shit. Okay. Etymology. The word technology comes from two Greek words, transliterated techne and logos. Techne means art, skill, craft, or the way, manner, or means by which a thing is gained. Logos means word, the utterance by which an inward thought is expressed, a saying or an expression. So literally, technology means words or discourse about the way things are gained. Contemporary usage. Lately, technology has come to mean something different. In one respect, the term has come to mean something narrower. The above definition would admit art or politics as means of gain. Yet, though those activities are permeated by technology now, most of us would not consider them to be examples or subjects of technology. In another respect, this definition is too narrow, for when most of us speak of technology today, we mean more than just discourse about means of gain. Working definitions. In this essays, I will refer to technologies in 5 different senses. Following are some working definitions. The technological process. First, technology is the rational process of creating means to order and transform matter, energy, and information to realize certain value ends. The significance of this definition will become clearer below. Technological objects. Second, technology is a set of means, tools, devices, systems, methods, and procedures created by the technological process. Technological objects range from toothbrushes to transportation systems. Technological knowledge. Third, technology is the knowledge that makes the technological process possible. It consists of the facts and procedures necessary to order and manipulate matter, energy, and information, as well as how to discover new means for such transformations. A technology. Fourth, a technology is a subject of related technological objects and knowledge. Computer technology and medical technology are examples of technology. A technological system. Finally, technology is a system consisting of the technological process, technological objects, technological knowledge, developers of technological objects, users of technological objects, and the worldview, i.e. the beliefs about things and the value of things that shape how one views the world. That has emerged from and drives the technological process. This is what Elo referred to as the technological system. In the remainder of this article, I will use all 5 senses, but when I use the term technology by itself, I mean the 5th and most comprehensive sense. Okay, so now I gave you an elaborate breakdown of what technology is. I will go on record by saying our brother Sanetta is a technological guru because he's utilized, right, technological objects in order to disseminate information to the world. Before there was a YouTube, the brother was known as a disruptor of the what? VCR era. Facts? Facts. His name was ringing bells in all different places because he was the brother that was in Harlem that had DVDs that was called technology. He brought a technological advance to the art of disseminating information on a lecture circuit. Okay? And by becoming a disruptor, he was able to corner the market because the other people who were dealing with VHS tapes did not catch up fast enough, and he took the market. Then when YouTube came, when the digital realm, the streaming service came, he was able to benefit off of that. Henceforth, we're here now on Sanetta TV, live streaming to hundreds and thousands of people. Okay? So, let me get into this.
You got the thing. You got the clicker.
I know.
Okay. Put this
All right, family. Real quick. KTL, Know the Ledge Radio. All right. Real quick, let me just give you a brief breakdown of Know the Ledge Radio. Know the Ledge Radio, Know the Ledge TV, KTL University. You can Google the brand. You can find out what we've been doing for 10 years on the network. We're not just some Johnny-come-latelys popping up on Sinetta TV. We've been on the front lines. We've been behind the scenes. We've been doing what it do for a very, very long time. Our work is our message. Okay, just go ahead and Google the work. I don't even have to. It sells itself. I don't got to promote what it do. Any teacher, any lecturer, anybody that you can think of, Know the Ledge TV, Know the Ledge Radio. All right, not up there playing games, not up there pontificating, giving grade A information.
Let the people know when you'll be back too.
All right, we took a hiatus on our radio show to restructure. We'll be back in the Scorpio season around our birthday. All right, so let's get right into it. Binary code as computing language. So the computing language as we know it is a binary code system. How do you scroll down to make it? All right, all digital data used in computer systems is represented using zeros and ones. Binary coding systems have been developed to represent text, numbers, and other types of data. We also recommend watching Binary Form in Music, Definition Examples, Blase Bloom. So all data on a computer system consists of binary information. Binary means there are only two possible values, 0 and 1. Computer software translates between binary information and the information you actually work on a computer, such as decimal numbers, text, photos, sound, and video. Binary information is sometimes also referred to as machine language, since it represents the most fundamental level of information stored in a computer system. At a physical level, the 0 and the 1s are stored in the central processing unit of a computer system using transistors. Transistors are microscopic switches that control the flow of electricity. If a current passes through a transistor, the switch is closed. This represents a 1. If a current doesn't pass through the switch, it represents a 0. Binary information is also used using magnetic properties. The two different types of polarities are used to represent 0 and 1s. An optical disc, such as a CD-ROM or a DVD, also stores binary information in the form of bits and lands. No matter where your data is stored, all digital data at the most fundamental level consists of zeros and ones. In order to make sense of this binary information, a binary notation method is needed, also referred to as a binary code. What I was just explaining is anywhere that you look inside of technology, anywhere that you look inside of computing, anywhere that you look inside of machines, there's a language that runs that. There is a foundation. That foundation is the binary code, okay? But we're going to show that the African origins of the binary code system means that the electronics and computers and all things electronic in this electrified age are working off of an ancient African principle. So let's go right here to the African origins of binary code. Next one. African origins of binary code. Digital hyperstition. Ron E. Glass, The Africa and the Origins of Binary Code. This is a Euro. The relationship between what we do as physicists today and the future that our work engenders is dialogical in the sense that not only do our present actions determine what our future will be, but we must be ever mindful of the impact of our present actions on the future. Through our moral responsibility and awareness of signals and trends, we in effect listen to what the future has to tell us. That's Donnell Walton, Chair, National Conference of Black Physics Students, 1995. Okay? Google him. While the temporal traditions of African societies were frequently cited by colonialists as evidence for primitive superstition, this is what they called it, primitive superstition. Whenever they either don't understand something or in the process of usurping our knowledge and our information, what did they do? They attached primitive superstition to it to get you looking the other way while they went ahead and renamed it and ran with it. They appear today in quite the opposite context. By alchemist divination practice of geomancy, Skinner 1980. But geomancy is clearly not of European origin. It was first introduced there by Hugo of Santalia in 12th century Spain, and Islamic scholars have been using it in North Africa since at least the 9th century, where it was first documented in written records by the Jewish writer Aaron ben Joseph. Okay. Geomancy is traditionally practiced by drawing patterns in the sand. That's called divining. It begins with 4 sets of random dashed lines. These are paired off, i.e. summed by additional module 2, and the even odd results recorded with 2 strokes or 1 stroke. 4 of these binary digits represents one of 16 possible divination archetypes: ruler, travel, desire, etc. Although the first 4 are generated by this random process, the following 12 are created by recursively applying the same pairing operation on the binary digits, making up the 4 symbols, a process which can be seen in many other areas of African knowledge systems. The nearly identical system of divination in West Africa associated with the Fa and the Ifa was first noted by Troutman, but he assumed that geomancy originated in Arabic society, where it is known as Ilm Al-Rami, the science of sand. The mathematical basis of geomancy is, however, strikingly out of place in non-African systems. Like other linguistic codes, number bases tend to have an extremely long historical persistence. The ancient Greeks held 10 to be the most sacred of all numbers. The Kabbalah Ein Sof emanates by 10, Sephiroth, and the Christian West counts its Hindu-Arabic decimal notation. In ancient Egypt, on the other hand, base 2 calculation was ambiguous, even for multiplication and division, and Blavatsky notes archaeological evidence linking it to the use of doubling in the counting systems of sub-Saharan Africa. Quartz notes that both Diodorus Siculus and Oberon reported that the ancient Egyptian priests employed an image of truth cut in halves. Doubling is a frequent theme in African divination and many other African knowledge systems, connecting the sacredness of twins, spirit doubles, and double vision with material objects, like the blacksmith's twin bellows and the double iron hoe given in bread wealth. In a recent interview in Wired, Brian Eno claimed that the problem with computers is they don't have enough African in them. I'm going to repeat that. In a recent interview in Wired, Brian Eno claimed that the problem with computers is that they don't have enough African in them. Enos was, no doubt, trying to be complimentary, saying that adaptive rhythm and flexibility is a value attribute of African culture, but in doing so, he obscured the cultural origins of digital computing and did an injustice to the very concept he was trying to convey. Take, for example, Henry Louis Gates' use of a recursive doubling description when discussing the relations between divination and sexuality in Western African traditions. The Faun in Yoruba escaped the Western surgeon of discouraging sexism through the action of doubling the double. The number 4 and its multiples are sacred in Yoruba metaphysics. Blue pill with the 44. Isu's twin sides, disclosed as hidden wholeness rather than closing of unity through the opposition. They signify the passage from one to other as sections of a submute whole. The binary coding of African knowledge systems, like that of their antecedents in modern computing networks, is neither rigid nor arithmetic. Its beat is a heritage heard by those who listen to the future. Next one. And I'm listening to future. Since the 1980s, Ron E. Glass has been documenting and studying the complex fractal systems evident in African braiding, Architecture and social society. I believe that it's worth sharing because in a time when there is a mad rush to equip Africans with computers and technology, here we see the brilliant understanding that already exists in these communities for fractal math and binary systems, and how that understanding is a part of the long-lived foundation of the social and spiritual makeup of these communities. By looking at aerial view photos and then following up with detailed research on the ground, Iglash discovered that many African villages are purposelessly laid out to form perfect fractals with self-similar shapes repeated in the rooms of the house, in the house itself, in the clusters of the house in the village, in mathematically predictable patterns. When Europeans first came to Africa, they considered the architecture very disorganized and thus primitive. It never occurred to them that the Africans might have been using a form of mathematics that they haven't yet discovered. Disclaimer: this is an organic presentation, meaning that the next time that you hear it, there will be additives. I will add on. This is an organic presentation, meaning that it will forever grow. It will forever add on. I just got a book called The Per Ankh, gifted to me by Dr. Layala Africa, where he talks about this. Okay? And then you also have Muata Ashby, who has a book where he talks about this. Then I'm also have to go and study the ancient Asian tradition of what's the shit? No, not the I Ching, where they set the crib up. Fu Shuang. Okay? So, Feng Shuang. So, what I just described in that sentence is basically the European admitting that the ancient African traditions that they have convinced so many of our people was savage, okay, was primitive, all right, was a part of a cannibalistic, ignorant culture. These Europeans are showing you that, no, we were dealing with high forms of mathematics, not in the Nile Valley culture only, okay? Not only in that culture, but also in West Africa, also in other places in Africa. The people would say, oh yeah, well, we were doing our thing over there in these high civilizations, but them niggas was over there with savages. That they were savages and that they didn't contribute anything to society. I hear that a lot. They didn't contribute anything to the world. And I'm also showing you and establishing the Islamic Moorish origins of what it is that they've contributed to society that you benefit off of today. Scroll down for me, please. Go to TED and go watch the video. I don't care if you don't want it. It's a European. So what? Get over it. Okay? Knowledge is knowledge. The fucking book didn't close when you try to read it that the European wrote. Okay? The shit jumps off the page and it allows you to take it. So if they got information that you could benefit off of, go and get it. Okay? Stop acting all puritanical on me. I am a mathematician. I would like to stand on your roof. That is how Ron Iglash greeted many African families he met while researching the fractal patterns he noticed in villages across the continent. Go to TED on YouTube and watch the information, and you do your knowledge. Scroll down, please. The binary coding of traditional African knowledge systems, like that of their antecedents in modern computing networks, is neither rigid nor arithmetic. Its beat is a heritage heard by those who listen to the future. Binary and divination systems. Binary, divination, this for all the spooky niggas out here that don't even realize that you claiming Africa, you all African and everything, and the foundation and the basis of all things Africa are divination systems, magical spiritual tradition systems. Okay? So if you running around romancing and pontificating, but you haven't tackled this shit, you ain't even kill a chicken. What are you talking about? The fuck are you saying? You haven't even tapped into the real. You think the power's in the books. The power's in the unseen. The power's in the divination. The power's in getting in touch with the elements around you. And the power's in waking up the ancestors inside of you. I don't care where you at. Divination, a practice of seeking knowledge of the future or the unknown by supernatural means. So if you're not talking about this, what are you talking about? If you ain't dealing with this, the fuck are you dealing with? You all in the DeLorean. Like come on. This is right now. This is the power that's running the world right now. Okay? The people that do this, they not on YouTube talking to you. They don't have nothing to say to you. Because this is an active principle. If I got to tell you about it, then you ain't even worth telling it to at the end of the day. You're supposed to know about this stuff. The human mind has a strange relationship with randomness. It both loves random and unexplainable things. Let me repeat that. It both loves random and unexplainable things, but at the same time denies their randomness and tries to give them understandable explanations. Sounds like you niggas. The random occurrences in life are typically attributed to something supernatural. Even modern human beings who think bearded guys in the clouds are a silly idea tend to blame fate for the incidents they fall into. That, if you want a straight answer to a question from your favorite supernatural being by causing something random to happen, of course. Can you move that over by any chance? To the right? It won't move? What if you want a straight answer to a question from your favorite supernatural being by causing something random to happen? Of course. The simplest method is perhaps the casting of a two-sided object, which transfers one bit of information, such as a simple yes or no, from the divine plane to the mortal one. We know that shit as flipping the coin, like you saw in the Lux debate that took 10 minutes for them to decide. Is it heads or tail? Flipping the coin. The Godhead. I want the Godhead. However, there are some serious problems in this one-bit protocol. Not just that it's difficult to believe in the superiority of a being whose vocabulary only consists of yes and no, but also the fact that straight and clear answers are so easy to falsify. The gods definitely require more bandwidth for providing more mysterious, fuzzy, and general purpose responses. A logical method for increasing the amount of information is by repeating the process of obtaining it. The Chinese and some African cultures are known the Chinese and some African cultures are known of their divination techniques that generate combinations of binary selections. The African techniques typically generate 4 and 8-bit combinations, whereas the Chinese ones produce 3 and 6-bit ones. Each of the possible resulting combinations is associated with some mystical verses that are supposed to be able to answer all questions. Now, if anybody, shout out to the Cosmophysics, shout out to our brothers, shout out to my brother Taj, our brother Tariq, Destiny Grind, out of the Carolinas, okay? They've come on Know the Ledge on multiple occasions and showed you the power of the I Ching and the power of divination systems, all right? If you ever did the I Ching, or if you've ever had a divining session, if anyone has ever divined from you, you know the power of divining. If you don't know the power of divining, that's why we're all in school. I'm encouraging you to please go and find out the power of the divination systems and the power of divining. You can properly plot and plan your moves like that. We are at war, okay? If you read The Art of War by Sun Tzu, or if you read any of these war strategy books, you would understand in times of war, you have to implement other practices like spiritual practices or divination systems and divining to prepare you and to guide you through the war. Like, this shit is 101. The nearly identical system of divination in West Africa associated with the Fa in the Ifa was first noted by Troutman, but he assumed that geomancy originated in Arabic society, where it is known as Ilm al-Rami, the science of sand. The mathematical basis of geomancy is, however, strikingly out of place in non-African systems. Yeah, I'm going over it again. And again and again. The ancient Greeks held 10 to be the most sacred of all numbers. The Kabbalah's Ayin Sof emanates by 10 Sephiroth, and the Christian West counts its Hindu-Arabic decimal notation. Well, part of it sounds identical, but Ifa divination is composed of 16 odus, which in turn give way to 256 different combinations of the sets of strokes using a 2-column 4-line system. Using 16 4-eyed palm nuts sacred to the Ifa, the Akin, the Babalao cups them in his left hand and beats them with his other hand, passing them back and forth, trying to capture only 1 or 2 nuts at most in his left palm. Pause. He keeps beating them between the raised right hand and arm and the left below until 1 or 2 remains. Then, if it is 1, he strokes 2 lines vertical next to each other, starting on the right and the next stroke parallel to the left. This is done on a normally round wooden board called the opun, a divining board sacred to Ifa, also known as the Orisa Arun Mila. He, Babalaos are always male, strokes the lines in a yellowish powder called aerosun, which is a dust derived from trees where termites are eating the wood. Pause. If 2 nuts are left in his hand, he makes 1 stroke on the right. He continues until the Odu, a type of sacred womb of knowledge figure, is giving using the 4 lines. The following is an example of Ija Ogbi. This would be the lines that I'm breaking down right here. This is an example. Shout out to Professor Smalls, okay, who is also very proficient in the arts. Shout out to Brother Panic. Shout out to Bobby. Obviously, shout out to Brother Oba, okay, and all of the brothers. Obviously, this is one of the primary 16 odus and considered the first to open the road. As I mentioned, there are 256 combinations possible, and within each odu, there are numerous verses called itens that comprise the oral Bible of the Yoruba, mouth to ear. Believing that all the ills of human life could be thwarted by consulting the Akin, the proper sacrifices and offerings are recited in each verse, along with clues as to the plants, trees, vines, various kinds of animals needed to make the magic preparations needed to bring about harmony in the consulter's life. All of this knowledge is handed down verbally, and the Babas are expected to know at least 3 or 4 verses within each of the 256 odus and able to recite them at will, besides the various songs that need to be sung honoring the plant and the animal life, carrying out all sacrifices properly. Ifa is the sum of all divine energy of the universe. It is not just a word that represents Orunmila, Oludun, pronounce that? Oludumare's messenger here on earth, but the sum of all of the wisdom and knowledge of all of the Orishas, sacred deities in the Yoruba belief. It is the yesterday, today, and tomorrow. There is a system of cowrie shell throwing that is at times Merendilogun or Erendilogun, which uses 16 special cowrie shells and used mostly by women Ulorishas or Ila Lorishas, spelling varying from country to country in the diaspora. These, according to Ifa, are thrown mouth up or mouth down, giving way to 17 combinations only. They also have verses attached to them along with the appropriate vegetable and animal knowledge. But some practitioners use different systems along with the odus, receiving intuitive messages from the orishas, etc., etc. I read an interesting article in the newspaper at the beginning of the Iraq war this decade that Saddam Hussein's mother threw cowrie shells and that he himself had a stable of magicians and learned people who helped them with charms and who knows what else. I heard that as well. Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds. I have no particular talent. I am merely inquisitive. That's a quote from Einstein. These are some of the tools that are used in divination if you're not familiar with it, family. Okay? I hope I'm not spooking you niggas out. All right? But this is magic. This is African traditional systems. This is the divination systems. All right? And these are where they're using what I'm breaking down as these binary codes. This yes and this no. This O and this 1. Chinese divination system. This figure features the 8 trigrams in the millennia-old Chinese sextant arrangement. Start from the bottom and read the triplets counterclockwise. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, constantly turning into each other. The only unchanging thing is the ultimate principle itself. So I'm not going to get into all of this. I'm not going to get into all of this, but as you can see, this is the Chinese divination systems that they're using binary codes as well, as I broke down with the 000s, the 001s, the 100s, and things of that nature. Okay? I'm also encouraging the family get into the I Ching, or somebody who understands and practices, that has a knowledge of the I Ching. You can Google Destiny Grind. Those brothers are proficient in their studies, and they do reading. Scroll down, please. As sometimes I may. Now, I'm going to break down what an algorithm is. An algorithm, family, if you're not familiar with algorithms, algorithms are very instrumental in what you see now as the Web 2.0, also in Web 1.0. Algorithm, pronounced algorithm, okay? Algorithm is a procedure or formula for solving a problem. The word derives from the name of the mathematician Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi, who was part of the royal court in Baghdad and who lived from about 780 to 850. Okay? Google, that platform that you know as Google, which is some niggas' master teachers. They teach you everything. It's able to solve all problems and answer all questions. That, my friends, is an algorithm. All right? That is an algorithm. An algorithm. In mathematics and computer science, an algorithm is a self-contained, step-by-step set of operations with the clicker. Yeah, but sometimes it skips between the slide. In mathematics and computer science, an algorithm is a self-contained, step-by-step set of operations to be performed. Algorithms exist to perform calculation, data processing, and automated reasoning. An algorithm is an effective method expressed as a finite list of well-defined instructions for calculating a function. Starting from an initial state and initial input, the instructions describe a computation that, when executed, proceeds through a finite number of well-defined successive states, eventually producing output and terminating at the final ending state. The transition from one state to the next is not necessarily deterministic. Some algorithms, known as randomized algorithms, incorporate random input. The concept of algorithm has existed for centuries. However, a partial formalization or an innovation of what will become the modern algorithm began with attempts to solve the, I don't even know how to pronounce that. It's called the decision problem, posed by David Hilbert in 1928. Subsequent formalizations were framed as attempts to define effective calculability or effective method. Those formalizations included the Gödel-Herbrand-Kleene recursive functions of 1930, 34, 35, Alonzo Church's 36, Emil Post's formulation of 36, Alan Turing's Turing machines of 36 to 37 and 39, giving a formal definition of algorithms corresponding to the intuitive notion remains a challenging problem. So what I said in so many words is that algorithms have been innovated by people who are innovating them by utilizing the formulas, not talking about it, not pontificating about it, but actually utilizing these formulas and pushing it to where it evolved, right? Where it's able to change, why it's able to upgrade, why it's able to grow, all right? Something that I'm not seeing a lot of people do with a lot of the information that they have in their possession, all right? Something that is hard to find when we look at some of our groups, some of our organizations, to the fact that they haven't taken a lot of the information and improvised on it or innovated on it. The shit is still 100 years old, or maybe 1,000 or 10,000 years old, okay? The word algorithm, and I'm doing this in a historic text, I'm doing this to remove the mind state of some of the people who deal with technology, or don't deal with technology for that matter, that try to say that technology is European. This whole first half is dedicated to erasing that from your mind and your memory. So I showed you how computer language is a binary code system, but that binary code system's origins is in Africa. It's ancient African, and it's also Asiatic. All right, it goes all the way back there. It's not European. They're late to the party. They are not the figureheads of technology. As long as you have that in your mind, you're lost. You can't win a goddamn thing. You niggas talking about war, you won't even win the battle. So here, for all of my Moors, okay, and all of the people that are studying the Moors, and all of the people that are not studying the Moors, I'm going to give you some information that's going to show you the origins of these computers. Because if you got a smartphone in your pocket, or you got a laptop in your crib, or you got a tablet in the house, or your baby got a tablet, or whatever, you're dealing with any form of technology, and you're only utilizing it as a customer, shame on you, my nigga. Shame on you running around asking what's the solution. You running around talking about what somebody else not doing, but you got a lot of the answers that's in your pocket. All right? This technology that you have access to could do a lot. The word algorithm comes from the name of the 9th century Persian Muslim mathematician Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi, often considered as the father of algebra. The word algorithm originally reformed only to the rules of performing arithmetic using Arabic numerals, but evolved via European Latin translation of Khwarizmi's name into algorithm by the 18th century. So his name was translated into algorithm. The use of the word evolved to include all procedures for solving problems or performing convoluted tasks. Okay? The numbers we write are made up of algorithms, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., called Arabic algorithms, to distinguish them from the Roman algorithms. Okay? There's a book called Automate This, How Algorithms Came to Rule Our World. So here it is. The algorithms that are ruling the world are accredited to somebody who existed in the Moorish Empire during, the Moorish era. 10 algorithms that rule the world, just to give you, an update or give you a context what the algorithms are. You might be lost, all right? One of the number one algorithms that rule the world right now, as we can all attest, it doesn't take much to figure this one out, is the Google search. Google search is an algorithm. There was a time not too long ago when search engines battled it out for internet supremacy, but along came Google and its innovative page rank algorithm. Today, Google accounts for 66.7% of the U.S. market share in core search, followed by Microsoft, Yahoo, AOL, Blase, Bloom. Google now dominates the markets to the point where we don't even question it anymore. For many of us, it's our primary avenue of entry into the internet. PageRank works in conjunction with automated programs called spiders or the Cupid dating matching, all right? When they have the Cupid dating, when you line up, online dating is now a $2 billion industry thanks to the growth of such sites as Match.com, eHarmony, OkCupid, there's many others. The industry has expanded at a 3.5% a year. Analysts express this acceleration to continue. This is an algorithm. You may also enjoy. Sites and services like Amazon and Netflix monitor the books we buy and the movies we stream and suggest related items based on our habits. Like, you just watch this, you may also like this. Or when you watch the YouTube videos, you just watch the Sinetta video, they may suggest Baba TV video, Brother Rich's videos, UGR and things of that nature. Those are algorithms, okay? NSA data collections, interpretations, and encryptions, all of this stuff, all of these are algorithms. I suggest if you want to learn more about it, get into studying what an algorithm is, because you too can write algorithms. You're allowed to write algorithms. This is only code. These are only code. There are websites where they are selling code. They're selling whole, terabytes of code that you could tweak and work to your liking. Now let's get into the interior of the computers. Let's get into the makeup of the computers. Let's get into the body of the computers, all right? We have here something that's called a coltan. The coltan is indigenous to the Congo. The same way that rubber was indigenous, the same way that some of your diamonds that are indigenous. We all know the story of what Belgium, King Leopold went over there and did. Now one of the most sought after natural resources in the Congo is what we know here as coltan. I'm going to break down what coltan is. Approximately 71% of global tantalum supply in 2008 was met by newly mined product, 20% from recycling, and the remaining from tin slag and inventory. Tantalum minerals are mined in Australia, Brazil, Canada, Democratic Republic of Congo, China, Ethiopia, and Mozambique. Coltan is used primarily for the production of tantalum capacitors used in many electronic devices. Many sources mention coltan's important in the production of cell phones, but this is an oversimplification, as tantalum capacitors are used in almost every kind of electronic device. It is also used in high temperature alloys for air and land-based turbines. The upsurge in electronic products over the past decade resulted in a peak in the late 2000s, lasting a few months. The 2000, the price was still Digital age. Coltan is made into the component for many digital products such as cell phones. The digital age has caused issues regarding power relations and violence between individuals from the Congo and the rest of the world. An example of uneven power relations was in the late 2000s when there was a great demand for the PlayStation 2. This demand caused the price of coltan to increase very quickly, and after demand from the gaming system fell, so did the price of coltan. The price hike of coltan has made the violence in Eastern Congo a lot worse, as the violence was being directed at everyday social production. Since there is a growing need for new technology, the demand for coltan is growing substantially. All right? So, for our brothers and sisters who participate, play video games, you in electronics and all of this other stuff, or if you're into investing on markets, look into coltan, right? Would not be able to utilize these electronic devices without the use of that. Also, without the use of this. This is called clear quartz crystals. This also is found in all of your phones, all of your electronic devices. These crystals are also found, and these are not indigenous to Europe. These are, like I said, I named the countries that these natural resources are indigenous to. They're all melanated countries. Scroll down, please. For individuals living within the Congo, mining is the easiest source of income available, as the work is consistent and regular, even if just for $1 a day. However, coltan is laborious to mine. As it takes around 3 days march into the forest to scratch out the ore with hand tools and pan it. About 90% of young men are doing this now. Research conducted by anthropologists has revealed reasons as to why the Congolese leave the farming industry. Congolese individuals can try to work in places like farms, but they need money quickly and cannot wait for their crops to grow. As farmers, they face other obstacles as well. There are no roads for people to travel on, making it extremely difficult for them to get their product to rural markets. And they're being attacked by these militias, but they're usually picked up, or they're usually, like we see in these streets, where the brothers have no outlets to basically, express themselves, so they get down with the gangs. Out there in the Congo, they get down with the militias. I would love to see a trip of some Pan-African brothers and sisters going into the Congo. I'm going to show you later on that they have crowdfunding campaigns for our brothers and sisters in the African diaspora who are only living on $1 a day, where you could drop $5 a day, or you could drop 50 cents, or you could drop some kind of money. It will go directly to them. All right? See, these are some conflict minerals. They call it conflict minerals like they had conflict diamonds. So conflict minerals are coltan, tin, tantalum, tungsten, gold, and all of this other stuff. All right? That only means that the European is basically usurping these industries and, you know, utilizing warring factions and all kind of other tricks to take over these markets. Scroll down. Africa, new slave markets tied to the cell phone and the computer industry. The Netherlands, some African leaders, including the Bisayne Nobel Peace Laureate Nelson Mandela, are apparently still closing their eyes to the new African slavery markets, namely the ones at the coltan mud mines of the eastern Congo and the informal Tanzanite gemstone mines near Arusha below the snows of Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. Coltan is fueling Congo's civil war. The UN recently warned that this black eastern Congolese mud, $80 per kilo, refined into tantalum for cell phones and laptops, had already created a new African slave trade. Family, look into that, okay? Look into that, all right? Scroll down. We have on the walls of ancient Kemet technology. We have proof of technology amongst our ancient brothers and sisters. The glorious, illustrious, ancient Kemetic traditions showed you that they were in touch with technology. All right? They embraced technology. Helicopters, the Zeppelins. God damn it, it looked like the Millennium Falcon is up there. Okay? You have here the brother holding what is known as the battery, the ancient battery, the DJed-pillar, the conductor, the electric eel. All right? So you're dealing with electricity right here. So we were on top of technology. We are the mothers and fathers of technology. We brought technology to the world. We are the innovators of technology, and it must remain like that. All right? I'm going to take you up into somewhere modern. There's a trinity that I identify with. Marcus Garvey, Elijah Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali. I call that our triad, or our holy trinity of the 100-year dynasty that is still effective today. These brothers came forth in the 20s, the 1920s. We are being ushered into the 2020s, okay? And the information that they brought forth still stands today. Let's get into what our brother Marcus Garvey talked about, technology. Even our brother Sarah Suit and Seti, in the clip that the Sinetta put up, I don't know if he put it up as of yet, but he talked about when Garvey said that technology was going to be utilized to get us out of the conditions that we're in today. The principal aim of Marcus Garvey's foundation, The principal aim of Marcus Garvey's foundation, the Universal Negro Improvement Association, was black upliftment through education. In his travels through North, Central, and South America, Garvey witnessed the effects on his people who had accepted the racist meme that black people were lazy, ignorant, and shiftless. In his lectures, he had to remind his audience about the great civilizations of Africa that excelled in science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics, which is known as STEAM. Now you know it as STEM. But Garvey brought forth science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. 73 years after Garvey's death, the effect of those crippling racist ideas have not been eradicated. Many of our young people still believe that they are genetically incapable of excelling in science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. But Garvey knew better. Here are a few selected quotes from his writings. Africa was people with a race of cultured black men who were masters in art, science, and literature. Men who were cultured and refined. Men who it was said were like the gods. Even the great poets of old sang in beautiful sonnets of the delight it afforded the gods to be in companionship with the Ethiopians. This race of ours gave civilization, gave art, gave science, gave literature to the world. But it has been the way with races. And nations. The one race stands out prominently in the one century or in the one age, and in another century or age, it passes off the stage of action, and another race takes its place. The Negro once occupied a high position in the world, scientifically, artistically, and commercially, but in the balancing of the great scale of evolution, we lost our place, and someone other than ourselves occupies the stage. Who spoke about the fact that in this whole lineage or this whole, millennia that we've existed where we were great, this point that we find ourselves is just a pit stop? What great teacher was that, Sonetta? Somebody just recently said that. I remember you were saying that to somebody about, I think it was Smalls or Infudishi. Somebody said that we focus on this small pit stop of, of the devolution or the falling of the gods, of non-productivity of our people. But when we look at our great history, it lasts for millennia. You feel what I'm saying? So Garvey prophesied and spoke about the fall of the Negro in the West. All right? 3,000 years ago, black men excelled in government and were the founders of teachers of art, science, and literature. The power and sway we once held passed away. But now, in the 20th century, we are about to see a return of it in the rebuilding of Africa. Yes, a new civilization, a new culture shall spring up from among our people, and the Nile shall once more flow through the land of science, of art, and of literature, wherein will live black men of the highest learning and highest accomplishments. Family, I'm going to show you that those prophecies are coming true. You think that they sleeping in Africa. You think they hurting in Africa. You think they still begging for money in Africa to eat. I'm here to show you that you're going to have to go to Africa to learn about technology, because they are excelling in that. They are one of the leaders in the world in technology right now. No Negro, let him be American, European, West Indian, or African, shall be truly respected until the race as a whole has emancipated itself through self-achievement and progress from universal prejudice. The Negro will have to build his own government, industry, art, science, literature, and culture before the world will stop to consider him. Until then, we are but wards of a superior race and civilization and the outcast of a standard social system. The race needs workers at this time, not plagiarists, copyists, and mere imitators, but men and women who are able to create, to originate and improve, and thus make an independent racial contribution to the world and civilization. So, black race, I ask you this. At this point that we find ourselves in the conscious community, let's just talk about the community as a whole. What are we creating? What are we originating? And what are we improving upon? I'm not saying that it's not happening. I just need you to answer that question, because we're going to take the words from our elders, our master teachers, who we claim we're standing on their shoulders, and you got to balance it out now. Now you got to put yourself on a scale. Are we doing this? Or are we being plagiarists, copyists, and imitators? What's taking place? Because then you could gauge where we're going to be going in the future. During the last century, a mighty revolution of mind has been made in the civilized world. Its effects are gradually disclosing themselves and gradually improving the condition of the human race. The eyes of all nations are turned on the United States, for here the great movement has commenced. Africa, like a bereaved mother, holds out her hands to America and implores you to send back her exiled children. Does not Africa merit much at the hands of other nations? Almost 4,000 years ago, she, from then, the rich storehouse of her genius and labor, sent out to them science and the arts and in letters, laws, and civilization. I'm going to go back. I'm going to say it again. Does not Africa merit much at the hands of other nations? Almost 4,000 years ago, she, from the then rich storehouse of her genius and labor, sent out to them science and arts and letters, laws, and civilizations. The hope of the black race lies in our new blood, the new Negro, who is already rising to the heights of nationhood. He is the man of the future. By science, art, history, politics, industry, and religion, he will rise above his environments, and in another 100 years shall have laid the pillars of the greatest civilization the world ever saw. Every student of political science, every student of economic knows that the race can only be saved industry, power in politics, and power in higher government. Facts. All right? What is your organization dealing with? What is your teacher teaching you? Where the fuck is your leader leading you? Are you even uttering the word industry? I'm wondering. Because every lecture that I've been to, the industry shows up, but nobody talks to them. Nobody, I did the lecture, I did the video with Sinetta where we pointed the camera on the crowd and showed you just amongst a random crowd, all of your solutions are in the crowd. Look at this show. I bet you there's people in the damn in the chat room trolling and wasting their time and just doing ignorant shit. But amongst those numbers, there's a quality of membership. There's people that are learning. Your industry is amongst those numbers. There's people who have talent and skills to deal with all kind of stuff, all kind of solutions, not one person. So we have to turn the camera on the crowd and find out who's in the crowd. All right. And we have to identify that we have industries inside of this conscious community right now. Because like before we open up the show, as you see, the community is being attacked. They're being encroached upon by the Europeans or Negropeans and all of their henchmen. To where this shit won't even be, this is going to be seen as a subversion. Okay? Where you won't even be able to see videos on YouTube in a while once they label everything homeland terrorists. Stop playing with yourself, man. Let's go to the next powerhouse that came through. When a debate arises about the prominent leaders of color from past and present, the names you will frequently hear discussed are Frederick Douglass, W.E.B. Du Bois, George Washington Carver, Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and current President Barack Obama. Seldom, if ever, is the name Prophet Noble Drew Ali mentioned. This is perhaps so little is known or documented about him, and trying to research his biography or attain any information about her, the seeker is limited to brief excerpts or commentary provided by one of his thousands of followers. Noble Drew Ali plays an integral part in the progression and enlightenment of black people as a culture, as any of the previously mentioned individuals. It is important to recognize the accomplishment of lesser known groundbreakers and innovators in as much as it is to celebrate the achievements of those thought to be world renowned. So who was Noble Drew Ali? Who are the Moors? Why are they important? Moors in Antiquity. During the European Dark Ages between the 7th and 14th centuries, the Moorish Empire in Spain became one of the world's finest civilizations. General Tariq and his black Moorish army from Morocco conquered Spain after a week-long battle with King Roderick in 711. They found that Europe, with the assistance of the Catholic Church, had returned almost to complete barbarism. The population was 90% illiterate, had lost all of the civilizing principles that were passed on to the ancient Greeks and Romans. The population was 90% illiterate and had lost all of the civilizing principles that were passed on by the ancient Greeks and Romans. The Moors reintroduced mathematics, medicine, agriculture, physical sciences. The clumsy Roman numerals were replaced by Arabic numbers, including the 0 and the decimal points. Dr. Ivan van Sertima says you can't do higher mathematics with Roman numerals. The Moors introduced agriculture to Europe, including cotton, rice, sugarcane, dates, ginger, lemons, strawberries. They also taught them how to store grain for up 100 years, built underground grain silos, established a world-famous silk industry in Spain. Moorish achievements in hydraulic engineering was outstanding. They constructed an aqueduct, conveyed water from the mountains to the city through lead pipes from mountains to the city. They taught them how to mine for minerals on a large scales, including copper, gold, silver, tin, lead, aluminum. Spain soon became the world center for high-quality swords and blades and shields. Spain was eventually manufacturing 12,000 blades, shields per year. Spanish craft and woolen became world famous. Moorish craftsmen also produced world-class pottery, vases, mosaics, jewelry. The Moors introduced Europe, paved light streets with raised sidewalks for pedestrians, flanked by uninterrupted rows of buildings. Paved and lighted streets do not appear in London or Paris for hundreds of years. They constructed thousands of public markets and mills in each city. Cordova had 5,000 each. They also introduced Spain to underwear and bathing with soap. Their public baths numbered in the thousands when bathing in the rest of Europe was frowned upon as diabolical custom to be avoided by all good Christians. Poor hygiene contributed to the plagues in the rest of Europe. Moorish monarchs dwelled in sumptuous palaces while the crowned heads of England, France, and Germany lived in barns, lacking windows, toilets, and chimneys with only a hole in the roof for the exit for smoke. Human waste material was thrown in the streets since no bathrooms were present. Education was made mandatory by the Moors, while 90% of Europe was illiterate, including the kings and the queens. The Moors introduced public libraries to Europe with 600,000 books housed in Cordova alone. They established 17 outstanding universities. There you see the introduction, like we said in the description of what technology is. They said the toothbrush is a form of technology. These were groups of brothers and sisters introducing technology to the world. The messenger, the honorable Elijah Muhammad, we know what he brought forth dealing with technology. His information is technology. The Nation of Islam and the teachings is technology. He spoke about embracing technology, okay? The supreme wisdom, he dealt with advanced technology. Noble Drew Ali talked about technology as well. Zeppelins, airplanes, in the 20s when these things were not even being developed yet. All right? He makes all things new. All right, we let's go. Okay. Plotted, gave you the distance of the planets. All right? Talked about civilizations that the European is just finding out about. This is coming from the prophet. Okay? So we're gonna get into some modern day technology and you know, run through it real quick. You may be living in a boom town right now. You may be living in a town where technology is booming. You may be living in a town where it's just booming, period. Okay? You might not realize some of the resources and some of the benefits of being in a boom town. You might not realize some of the resources that are available to you in forms of grants or in forms of, you know, social entrepreneurship, capital, and things of that nature. But we're going to briefly run through it. New York, Houston, Washington, D.C., plush college towns in the energy belt are all up, while much of the Sun Belt is still down, mapping the winners and losers since the crash. So these are boom towns ever since the crash of the economy that took place. But we're dealing with the African American boom towns, all right? Basically, everything going from I-95 from New York all the way into Florida is a boom town. Georgia's booming. The Carolinas are booming. Florida's booming. New York is booming. DMV is booming. Everywhere where we're at in large numbers, you find your boom towns. There's technological booms taking place in these towns. There's construction booms taking place in these towns. For my brothers and sisters that are out there that are illustrious and industrious and are putting together LLCs and companies and things of that nature, we have to tap into these booms. Scroll down. These are called tech clusters. Inside of these towns are tech clusters. Tech clusters are also boom towns. They're startup communities. A lot of money is being made. This lecture is about economics. This lecture is about technology. This lecture is about the now. This lecture is about solutions, and this lecture is about moving forward. So I'm going to show you the different places where they're moving forward, where you may live, or you may domicile, or you may travel to, or you may be thinking, you know, I want to go somewhere and make something happen. Well, these will be some great places to consider relocating, because especially if you're dealing in the fields or the sectors of technology, because these are booming towns right now. All right. Seattle, San Francisco, Silicon Valley, of course. Seattle has a huge boom market taking place, both on the medical marijuana tip for the people that are in horticulture and agriculture, and also on a tech tip. But you can incorporate the both. San Diego's booming, Los Angeles is booming, Atlanta, Washington D.C., Philly, Pittsburgh, Chicago. All of these places, there's many places where the children are killing each other. They have it's almost like a tale of two cities, because in these cities there's almost no hope on one side, but then on another side there's all kind of hope taking place. There's all kind of money being thrown around. There's billions of dollars being made. So why is it that the leaders in these communities that are suffering, they're not telling the youth about this? They're not creating any kind of after school programs about this. We got to talk about that. All right? So let's scroll down. All right, I'm going to just run through it real quick. The cities where African Americans are doing the best economically. We want to do lectures in every single one of these towns. The same thing that we did in Atlanta a few weeks ago with HOK, Amin Ra Squad, KTL, and all of us came together. We should be coming into these towns with information to tap into the people that are in these towns that don't even realize that you exist inside of a city that's booming, and there's all kind of money to be made. There's all kind of solutions. There's all kind of communities that are waiting to be built. At the top of our list is Atlanta, long hailed as the unofficial capital of Black America. This city, which in the 60s advertised itself as the city too busy to hate, has long lured ambitious African Americans. With its well-established religious and educational institutions, notably Spelman and Morehouse, which are ranked first and third respectively by U.S. News among the nation's historically black colleges, the area has arguably the strongest infrastructure for African American advancement in the country. The region's strong music and art scene has also made it an epicenter for black glitterati and culture. All right? The super laxative extends well beyond glamour to the basics of everyday life. Some 46.9% the metro area's black population owned their homes as of 2013, well above the 38% major metro average for African Americans. Atlanta's African Americans have a median household income of 41 racks. Also considerably above the major metro average, while the rate of self-employment, 17.1%, is second only to New Orleans. Clear evidence of Atlanta's area appeal could be seen in the growth of the black population, up 50% from 2000 through 2013. This is also well above the 28% average growth for the African American population in the nation's 52 biggest metro areas during the time. So, number 1, Atlanta. Number 2, Raleigh, North Carolina. Number 3, Washington, D.C., the DMV area where the Million Man March is taking place. Okay? So I'm sure if my brothers don't got it, I'm not buying it. Okay? We're taking a black-owned bus or a melanated-owned bus down there. We're staying with our people, and we're buying from our people so we could jumpstart that economy. We're gonna help jumpstart the local economy down there, and I'm gonna be bubbling. Number 4, Charlotte, North Carolina. Number 6, Virginia Beach, Norfolk. Number 7, Orlando, okay? So these are cities where our people are doing great, okay? These are cities where our people are moving forward according to the number game. So these are cities that different organizations should really be focusing on. And there are also cities where we can actually implement these plans that we have to build up these startup communities where we're going to be dealing with this technology and innovation and building like Garvey told you to do. All right? So these are also the same cities where there's a construction boom taking place. And if you listen to any of the lectures that we did before, we spoke about the need for our brothers and sisters, especially inside of the conscious community that have all of these organizations within it. Where are our unions? Where are our labor unions at? Where the hell are our coalitions? What happened to labor? It's just read a book all day. You don't want to work. Nobody's talking about building. How do you feed your children? Oh, really? You work for the white man. Okay, that's what's up. The white devil, right? All right. Well, what I'm saying is, if we come together and form these unions, or if we go into these unions and begin to implement, some kind of leadership in these unions, or if we join forces with the black unions that already exist, there's some power. There's billions of dollars to be made. We are the pyramid builders, right? Are we not? So as the pyramid builders or descendants of the castle builders, the pyramid builders, the mound builder civilizations, what are we building right now? Because everywhere that I go, you got Ecuadorians, Mexicans, and Europeans, and people, brothers and sisters from the Caribbean, and our brothers and sisters from America. Yeah, they're doing some building, but conscious-wise, these organizations that say that they're builders and they're bloodlines from the builders, we're not building shit. Real things. Skyscrapers. Institutions. Okay? We got to get into the building game. So these are the top 20 metro cities. And if y'all, and like I said, whoever's out there that got their own companies that are building, that have the skill sets, and brothers and sisters who have carpenter skills, electrical skills, architecture, blueprint reading skills, y'all got to come together. Y'all have to form a network. Y'all have to form a coalition. Y'all playing too many games. Like, reach out. Let's build. Because this shit is very important right now. Scroll down. I'm going to breeze through it real quick because we got to keep it moving. Seattle, all right, $5 billion in construction. Boston, Massachusetts, $5 billion. You could be tapping in. You could get some of this money. Miami, Florida, everywhere where our people are at in large amounts of numbers, they're regentrifying it and they're dealing with construction and they're siphoning off all of this money out of our communities. Okay? Because if we're going to build our own communities, shouldn't we at least know how to build at first? Shouldn't we be practicing? Shouldn't we have a coalition already built? So a lot of people don't realize that they're calling New York City Silicon Alley, second to only Silicon Valley. So Silicon Alley, centered in Manhattan, has evolved into a metonym for the sphere encompassing the New York City metropolitan region's high-tech industries, including the internet, new media, telecommunications, digital media, software development, biotechnology, game design, financial technology, and other fields within information technology that are supported by the area's entrepreneurship ecosystem and venture capital investments. As of October, New York City hosted 300,000 employees in the tech sector. Let's scroll through it. All right. Silicon Valley in the heart of New York. Why is that important? Because we're in New York. You know what I'm saying? And we're talking about technology right now. And those of us that are in New York, that are part of the community, that are trying to find out what to do with themselves or trying to find out, how to move forward or because people are still trying to find their way. Let's be clear. I'm showing you that inside of the city that you dwell in, I'm showing you the same city that the House of Consciousness dwells in with all of the teachers, with all of the intellects, the same place where KTL dwells within, it is being recognized as the Silicon Valley in the East. So with that being said, there's all kind of stuff that's on the table. There's all kind of opportunities. There's all kind of brothers and sisters that are in the community that are a part of this, that are very innovative, that are waiting for somebody to speak to them. They're developing apps. They're developing websites. They're developing technology. They're the inventors. They're the innovators. Okay? They have billion-dollar ideas. So we have to support them. The Big Apple is having its own tech bubble. New York City is catching up to Silicon Valley as a tech hub, a development that is boosting the city's lackluster economy. In the past decade, New York has been adding hundreds of thousands of jobs that are direct or indirect result of the technology sector, according to a report by HR&A advisors. The tech firms, All right. All right. Scroll down. A few more. All right. In Harlem. In Harlem, they have a hub called Silicon Harlem, right? And they also have something called Harlem Garage. And Harlem Garage is a place where people who are coming together and dealing with creating technologies like apps, technologies like different inventions and things of that nature. I'm encouraging the family to create their own. Scroll back up. Within your cities, study what they're doing right here in Silicon Harlem. Study what they're doing right here in Harlem Garage, and begin to implement that in your city. They received about $300,000 from the Bloomberg Industries to get them jump started. All right, they have people like Rangel and other politicians that are behind them, and that's what they're doing. But what I'm only showing you all of this stuff to show you what it is that we as a community can do. I don't care. We don't really care about what they're doing per se. I'm just showing you that there's some stuff being done and letting you know that if you so choose as a collective or a network to do your own thing, this is what it is that you'll be tapping into. This is the possibilities that exist. Because we're talking about the now, but we're also talking about the future. I'm not talking about yesterday. I'm talking about tomorrow. All right? So realizing as a culture or as a community, I'm going to identify that these are billion-dollar markets with with all kinds. It's just billions everywhere, trillions damn near. Okay, and this is something that your ancestors have their hands in, and this is something that Garvey, Drew Ali, and many of your master teachers told you that you need to learn about, and you should be picking up. There's a race taking place, and for some reason we're not in it. So it's time to get on board. Scroll down. We're going to just scroll past that. All right. We got to speed this up. That was just a comparison between New York and Silicon Valley. We don't really need that at the end of the day because that's not really important. You know what I mean? There's benefits to both places, but where we're at, we're able to utilize what we have in our hands. All right? All right. I mentioned the word startups. I'm going to show you what a startup is. A startup is the same thing as if a dude was like, yo, I'm ready to start my own company. Okay. What they're doing now is they're creating entrepreneurs. Brother Polite talked about the entrepreneur revolution and the entrepreneur movement. There's a real movement taking place ever since the economic crash dealing with entrepreneurs. And the entrepreneurs are not creating what you know as regular businesses. They're creating startups. Okay? So startups are taking place. They're popping up all over the place. Google is a startup. Uber is a startup. You know what I'm saying? Airbnb is a startup. These are startups. Okay? Let's give you the definition of what a startup is. You know what I mean? So when you're thinking about a company, if you have an idea and you know how to commodify that idea or you know how to bring value to that idea, you can create a startup, all right? Because there's a lot of people who got money or don't want to work for the European or don't want to work for anybody else for that matter. They got bills or they graduated or they thinking about going to school. What I'm saying is you can start your own startup, all right? So we did a lecture in Boston. We just showed all of these different. We went to, scroll back up. We went to meetup.com, right? Meetup.com, where all meetings take place. They have all kind of different meetings around the world. It doesn't matter what state you're in. You could go to meetup.com. You could create your own meetup, all right? You could start your own meetup. It doesn't matter what the topic is. You could do a meetup to teach people Medu Netter. You could do a meetup to teach people yoga, Kundalini yoga. You could do a meetup to watch Sinetta TV, the videos. You could do a meetup to deal with health and wellness and fitness. It doesn't matter. Meetup.com allows all of these people to converge and come together, and you could stipulate, you could say, yo, only certain amount of people in the meetup. or black only, whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? But we went to the meetup. We went to meetup.com when we were doing a lecture and just showed them the option if you want to go to a different meetup and be a fly on the wall. By being a fly on the wall, it means that sometimes you could go somewhere where you really are trying to learn about what's taking place. You're trying to learn about what's about to come down the pipeline. You just sit back and be quiet. You put your tape recorder right there and you just record everything. Then you go home and you do the knowledge. The same way that some people jump on side of the TV and they just watch, spectate. You know what I mean? A form of voyeurism. So if you might have something to offer, but let's just say that you want to learn some stuff. All kind of stuff is on. You gotta work for nobody. You don't gotta be nobody's worker. You don't have you can control your own destiny. And that's all I'm saying right now with technology and this era that we live in, this boom, this internet, all of this stuff that's here. This is only a syllabus of what it is that we got to offer. We could go all the way deep into many different topics, but I don't have time for that. I don't got enough time for that. But this is just a breakdown of what's here. So you could create anything that you want right now. You live in that era. Like Drake and Future said. What did they say? It's a great time to be alive. Scroll down. So we got that. We also have Eventbrite, where you could put your events together and stuff like that and bring different people on, make different people aware as to what it is that you're doing. All right? Scroll past that. And that. All right? Just an example of what a startup is. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to give you a breakdown of what startups are. So I'm showing you these are just ideas. These are the simple ideas that they came up with. They're actually filling voids. All right? That's what's taking place in technology right now. People are being funded millions of dollars just to come up with ideas to fill voids. Okay? All right, there's one thing called ClassPass. ClassPass lets users sign up for a monthly membership program so they can switch up their routine and take classes at several different gyms and studios for one set fee. ClassPass raised $2 million in seed funding in March and offers its services in New York, Boston, and what the fuck? They just came up with a simple idea. All right? Fly cleaners. With Fly cleaners, you can have on-demand laundry and dry cleaning services delivered right to your door. And you'll never have to sweat the small stuff. You make a request for pickup and the app can specify all of your needs. And they drop it off. I mean, how many people sitting around with nothing to do? You could be moving around. Laundry, goddammit, and make a startup. Fancy hands, right? Why you should care. For a monthly fee, you could get the extra help you need with Fancy Hands. Make your request via mobile app, the Fancy Hand website, or a simple phone call. One of the thousands of Fancy Hand virtual assistants will confirm your hotel reservation, find you cheap Lady Gaga tickets, or schedule a coffee meeting for you. They raised $1 million for doing that. Okay? Cover wants you to change how you pay at restaurants. Instead of worrying whether you can split the check, Cover lets you check in through the app, and once you arrive, select the table you're joining and put your phone away. The mobile app automatically adds the tips, splits the bills, and pays with your on-file credit card. You could pay for a meal with Cover for about 100 different restaurants in New York. These are some different startups in Boston, all right? I mean, I could go on for days. I'm going to give you, don't worry, because I know y'all over there wilding. I'm going to give you some black startups. I'll give you some black technological people so, it's a white thing, all right? Circle. Like I'm just showing you, though, these are all different ideas, simple ideas. You know what I'm saying? Simple ideas, but they're worth millions and billions of dollars. Okay? So ideas mean nothing. We all got ideas. There's no value system to the idea. You can't commodify an idea. You got to move on an idea, fund that idea, and then you could commodify that idea. All right? So as a group and as a network of people, when are we going to come together and do something with all of these ideas? Huh? When? These are just different. All right? Different startups. I don't got time to get into all of them. You know what I'm saying? What is a startup? A startup company, right here, or a startup is a company, a partnership or temporary organization designed to search for a repeatable and scalable business model. Scalable meaning that it can grow. You start out with 5, you go to 10, you flip that to 4, scalable, it grows. A startup company or a startup is a company, a partnership or temporary organization designed to search for a repeatable and scalable business model. These companies, generally newly created, are in a phase of development and research for markets. The term became popular internationally during the dot-com bubble when a great number of dot-com companies were founded. All right? Scroll. So it's just an idea. Startups are just ideas that are basically commodified. Accelerators help startups form and grow into the behemoths that we see nowadays, like your Ubers and things like that. But they go through accelerators and incubators. Starting a company has never been easy. Not having to worry about market research and resources can be the difference between getting off the ground and moving back in with your parents. This might explain the record number of startup accelerators and incubators in 2013. According to our projections, there will be at least 170 worldwide by the end of the year. But despite the increase, overall seed stage investment in startups has decreased from a year ago, mainly in North America. All right? Accelerator. Something that brings about acceleration. In particular, the device, typically a pedal that controls the speeds of a vehicle's engine, an apparatus for accelerating charged particles to high velocities. So we need, inside of our community right now, incubators and accelerators. The need for that is paramount because we have a lot of startups. We got a lot of startups in our community. They might not identify themselves as startups, but we have a lot of brands, right? We have a lot of companies that are in the communities that are startups. But what the accelerators do is the accelerators have professionals and other people that are well versed in those markets or those fields inside of them, and they're the ones that help these businesses get stronger. And by doing that, their business gets stronger. And by doing such, their value grows. And when their value grows, they're able to compete in global markets. Okay? And that's what we're looking for. All right? Go to the next one. Turn that on that. Entrepreneur. Entrepreneur. A person who organizes and operates a business or businesses, taking on greater than normal financial risk in order to do so, right? Entrepreneurship is the process of starting a business or other organization. The entrepreneur develops a business model, acquires the human and other required resources, and is fully responsible for its success or failure. Entrepreneurship operates within the entrepreneur system. Now, in technology, you have the technopreneur. A technopreneur is an entrepreneur inside of the field of technology. Our brother D. Miller L. from the Mobit Association, shout out to him. He has a book called The Economy of Life in the Electrified Age. He talks about the culture creator, the creator culture, and the entrepreneur. As an analogy, culture could be seen as soil and the individual as the seed. What I have termed as the creative culture is the soil and the entrepreneur is the seed. This entrepreneur may be a scientist or highly skilled person. This person may also be an artist or a highly talented person. These two are not necessarily the same, but can be. While the scientist is highly skilled, they lack the raw talent of an artist. Although the artist has raw talent, they lack the ability to execute in a systematic way. Both of these characters are needed. The artist and the scientist together will design and build the future. In this work, I will use the word entrepreneur and seed as well as culture and soil interchangeably. The step ladder. Entrepreneurs of the creator culture are developed in a particular fashion so that they may learn to express themselves fully. There are three main stages of development or expression for the seed or entrepreneur. These stages cannot be rushed or skipped, but they are natural processes or rites of passage. I will use development and expression interchangeably in this portion. Belief. In the first stages of an entrepreneur's expression, he has an innate feeling that something is missing or something is wrong. These people are insightful enough to take an information and create a solution to address what can be seen as a problem or inconvenience. This early stage is a creative one and consists of the entrepreneur thinking, perhaps this may work. Then you're going into faith. Practice makes perfect. In the second stages of the seed's development, the entrepreneur has experience. From this precious experience, the seed knows the source from which it will receive nourishment and the roots take hold. The entrepreneur learns the most during this stage of development, how to find a way, how to negotiate, and how to lead. At this point, a methodical nature and a discipline that is absent from the first stage is expressed by the entrepreneur. Then we go into the last stage of fruition, a master of the basics. So shall she rise like a cedar on the mountains. Her head shall be seen above the trees of the forest. The final stage is the epitome of the entrepreneur. This expression is magnificent and is no small feat. In truth, more than 85% of startups fail. This work is so difficult that the few that reach this station prefer not to walk this path more than once. A smaller few totally embraces this character as a creator. They are able to embrace this process at will and will go from stage 1 belief to stage 2 faith and finally to stage 3 fruition at will. The defining description of this is refined to as the serial entrepreneur. Behold, I am not myth made of the fleeting winds, for I am flesh and bone and brawn, but I can cross the borderland at will. Abundance. Do you have plenty or are you in need? Abundance plays a major role in the way of the entrepreneur. For an entrepreneur to be bound by limitation is to lose even before beginning. One must have a proper mind state. The proper mind state is to know that the source from which you receive your inspiration to create is unlimited. The same can be said of the support that you will receive. You must have faith that the work you put in will be repaid. With the proper mind state, one will experience a reality of abundance within and without. Self-motivation and self-sufficiency. As an entrepreneur, we play by a specific set of rules. They are unspoken but seen everywhere there is an authentic entrepreneur. The entrepreneur must be self-motivated and self-sufficient. Self-motivation is the result of one's ability to direct their creative force to a particular task. Self-motivation is a subconscious concept and must be addressed in a similar fashion. This is easier said than done and requires one to have the ability to program habitual responses in themselves. An example of that would be when Sinetta has an event that he has to go and promote, right? So his self-motivation is to get the tripod and the camera and hit the streets of Harlem and promote the event. Yep. Nobody can do that but him. He has to motivate himself in order to do that. And by doing that, you build up the motivation, you build up the anticipation for the event. Boom, the event comes, entrepreneur at the door. And you're able to grow like that. Entrepreneurs are addicted to winning. They have a desire to win subconsciously and are most attracted by the games that they win at, etc. The kicker here is that the natural or habitual response that you have after winning or accomplishing the mission require much instruction. They are operating from a place of purity in their desire to perform. They know intuitively to plan and to execute according to the plan. They who are self-sufficient no longer look for assurance that their plan or execution of the plan is good or not. They are not attempting to outdo anyone or anything. They are attempting to be the best that they could be out of habit. We must begin to embrace that, family. We must begin to find those amongst us that are the serial entrepreneurs and learn from them. And a serial entrepreneur, not an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. I identify Brother Polite as a serial entrepreneur. I identify Sinetta as a serial. They continue to start new ventures and I identify Red and Blue as serial entrepreneurs. Serial entrepreneur, an entrepreneur who continuously comes up with new ideas and starts new businesses, as opposed to a typical entrepreneur who often come up with an idea, start the company, and then see it through and play an important role in the day-to-day functioning of the new company. A serial entrepreneur will often come up with the idea and get things started, but then give responsibility to someone else and move on to a new idea in a new venture. This could be a good thing if the individual has lots of unique ideas and is the best one suited to get each one started, but could be a bad thing if the individual stops putting in time into a company that needs his or her help in order to try to move forward with a new idea, but it may or may not succeed. All right? The death of the artist and the birth of the creative entrepreneur. Hardworking artisan, solitary genius, credentialed professional. The image of the artist has changed radically over the centuries. What if the latest model to emerge means the end of art as we have known it? So this article is basically saying with the internet, the rise of the internet, we're seeing a death of the starving artist and a rise of the creative entrepreneur. For those of you that are out there who are creative, who have skill sets, who used to be artists, who used to doodle and draw and things of that nature, but now you're working somewhere or you're doing something that you don't like doing, I'm showing you that there's an exit, or there's a way to express yourself to get a second income stream. Or if you just want to be creative with the information that you've been learning, you got to stop putting it into your art. So scroll down. I'm just showing you quickly the market of the smartphones, the smartphone markets that many of us are dealing with. We're in these smartphone markets. We're using these smartphones. We don't realize that the smartphones are being, we control that market. Quote unquote, black people. All right? Hispanics. Right? Asians. African Americans. Okay? We're participating in the market, but we're not getting a dime. We're not making anything. All right? Smartphone penetration is higher among mobile users who are part of ethnic and racial minorities in the U.S. than white mobile users. They're the ones getting all the money off of you using something. Once again, we find ourselves in a familiar place. Scroll down. The internet has surpassed newspapers and radio in popularity as a news platform, ranks just behind TV. How many times have somebody came up to me and say, I don't watch the news anymore. I don't even watch TV. I just watch Sonetta TV. Okay? I don't listen to no news no more. I just listen to No The Ledge Radio. All right? So new media is replacing old media. It's a disruptor. So we have to pay attention to that. We have to be able to commodify that. We have to be able to make our millions and our money off of that. All right? 1/4 of all Americans say that they get some form of news via cell phone today. That amounts to 33% of cell phone owners. Scroll down. Scroll down. All right? This is about minorities need to benefit from the city's high-tech boom. All right? Of course, we realize that we're not part of the boom. We're not in it. They have a lot of movements that are popping up. Jesse Jackson has something to say. They threw him some money to make him quiet. A few other people have something to say, but we have to participate in the fields of STEM. Like Garvey says, STEAM. We need to participate in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and math. All right? Scroll down. We have a group. We got Black Girls Code. All right? For the sisters out there with daughters, all right, or the sisters that are looking into, learning more about coding as a language, all right. Black Girls Code. They make a lot of moves. They're doing a lot of things. They are linked up with the White House with Michelle Obama, and they're making strides for sisters of color and things of that nature. All right. Like I said, Jesse Jackson stepped up. Tech diversity is the next civil rights. Whatever, you know what I'm saying? He came in to get a check, you know what I'm saying? Like how Al Sharpton, they showed you the playbook. Whenever something is happening to our people, they cry, they throw stones, they pay them off, and they fall back, all right? Diversity 2.0 and things of that nature. So Google, Apple, Facebook, and all of them are now catering to the boule, to the black people who step forth, to talk about the lack of diversity, but That's not trickling down to the hood. That's not trickling down to us. That's not trickling down to the people on the ground. All right. So now they got these bougie ass movements of black coders or black tech people that are closing the doors and won't let the little people in. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just identifying that. All right. Scroll down. We'll talk about that later on. This is Silicon Harlem. All right. Research Silicon Harlem. We just talked about some of the things. All right. Silicon Harlem. They exist in Harlem. They do some stuff. Charlie Rangel's on the board. You know, I don't really know if they are really, you know, I don't know what they're dealing with the community. You know what I'm saying? Somebody will have to share the information with me. Tell me what they're doing. Show me what they're doing. But they're out here. Harlem Biospace. There's a biospace lab right in the middle of Harlem with a wet lab, a new biotech incubator concept right in Harlem where our scientists, our brothers and sisters, hold on. The new biotech incubator concept right in Manhattan. Nobody talks about this shit. With a beautiful wet lab outfitted with modern biotech equipment combined with exciting classes and events, we're creating a community to turn ideas into inventions that solve real health problems. So some of our scientists that are part of our community, we could benefit off of this being in Harlem. We could go inside of there. Go inside the matrix. Get up in there and find out what is available for us to utilize. They said that you could take your inventions and do something with it. All right. The economy of life. We're going to get into part 2, the artists and the scientists. It is important that a connection be made between artists and scientists as entrepreneurs. Remember, the Motion Picture Academy is the Academy of Arts and Scientists. A.A. Rashid talks about this. Okay. Dr. Phil talks about this. I say the Duke of Tears talks about this. The importance of the artist, the importance of the scientists, and the importance when we talk about ancient Kemet, we're talking about a group, not only just them, but we're talking about arts and sciences. So it is very important to identify inside of our community the artists and the scientists and start doing work with them and bring them out. It is important that a connection be made between artists and scientists as entrepreneurs. These are the ones that influence the world in fundamental ways. These fundamental changes are what give entrepreneurs notoriety. Okay? Ancient and modern disruptors of the status quo. The ancient pyramid civilizations and the Moorish empire's impact on the world. The earliest civilizations can be characterized by megalithic structures with a cosmologic rationale, and it is a cultural expression. This disruption is illustrated by Narmer, the first pharaoh of Egypt, who I will use to represent an original disruptor of petty tribal divisions, the status quo of the time, and became the leader of the ancient pyramid civilization. The degree of unity and materialization was unseen prior. With this unity and by systematically inducing the expression of the creator from their people, megalithic structures of unimaginable proportions were erected as a display of the might of the creator. As the saying goes, with God, anything is possible. The Moorish Empire is arguably the most important empire to hit the scene in modern time. After the pyramid civilizations of the earth, the custodians of that knowledge were the Moors. Modern civilizations owe credit to the Moors, who will create the foundation of Western civilizations. Moors were and are the disruptors of this age. The status quo had been of ignorance and cruelty. The Moors would establish Western intelligentsia and law in a cruel world where ignorance was bliss. This disruption to the status quo will be the reasons for much of the enmity shown to the Moors and their descendants, as well as the mass adoption of Moorish culture, past and present. Noble Drew Ali, a Moorish American and descendant of these same Moors, spoke of true and divine prophets. He is a member of a long line of prophets that represents the genius of the nation that they are sent to. This genius is honored as the highest learning and is the national standard for all Asiatic nations. As miraculous as this sounds, communication is key in any network. The Abrahamic faiths the Abrahamic faiths describe the megalithic builders as having one language. This can be seen today with the Internet's hypertext transfer protocol, or HTTP structure, found in the information highway or the internet, right? The internet is a peer-to-peer network software. The software is open source and generically refers to a program in which the source code is available to the general public for use and or modification from its original design free of charge. The fact that information is shared within seconds across global and local distances is the essence of the internet and what makes it a disruptive technology. Reimagining the global communication and finance, Bitcoin. With the creation of the internet and its universal protocol, we find ourselves at a junction that is similar to what was observed by the ancients. An advancement has appeared on the scene as of recent. Bitcoin is an open source protocol for the transfer of property. This technology is based on cryptography, a computer science. With the universal communication and financial protocol, we haven't seen such a degree of unity since the time of megalithic structure builders. So where are we going? Applications, finance, smart contracts, and distributed autonomous organizations. With the introduction of the internet, the application has been a major disruption to the status quo. Software is where most of the applications of this technology will be displayed. For example, the first major applications of the internet were search and email. Currently, social networks appear to have the lead concerning the internet's most valuable application. Cryptography's most valuable application is currently encryption, followed by Bitcoin, which is a financial instrument classified in the USA as property. The notoriety associated with this technology and its potential to affect the financial industry. Bitcoin allows for people to bypass the current banking and payment processing institutions, etc. It is a peer-to-peer network with a public ledger maintained by a decentralized network of computers running the Bitcoin software. All right, let's give a definition of what cryptocurrency is. Cryptocurrency is a digital currency in which encryption techniques are used to regulate the generation of units of currency and verify the transfer of funds operating independently of a central bank. Okay, meaning that you can utilize a new form of currency outside of those dead presidents with those dead European faces on it as a form of currency or trade and barter amongst you and other people. All right? And it's open source, meaning that you can program it, right, to be a coin for your community or your following or your niche market. Okay? So you have, let me just show you an example of different coins, different Bitcoins that were utilized for these different reasons. Litecoin. The market cap on it is $353 million. It was created in 2011, meaning that that's the amount of Bitcoins or cryptocurrency that's in the bank for Litecoins. Litecoin sets itself as the silver to Bitcoin's gold. Confirmations of transactions are purportedly processed more quickly with Litecoin and Bitcoin. Peercoin. Peercoin markets itself as using less energy and being more environmentally sustainable than some other coins on the market. Sexcoin. According to the website, the goal of Sexcoin is to have a way for purveyors and consumers of adult content to have a fast, stable way to secure methods of transaction. Oracoin, Mastercoin, Dogecoin, okay? Freecoin. Like, there's so many different coins that are being developed, but look at the market value, 71 million, 59 million, 29 million. So you can have a conscious coin where you put your money together and create a digital currency, and now you raise a value within that market, and you begin to, within that industry or within that community or that network, you barter, you trade, and you spend money in that circle with your coins. All right? Because we talk about how many times the Jewish dollar circulates. We talk about how many times all of these dollars circulate. Well, God damn it, create a dollar and then make it circulate amongst your circle. Problem solved. Let's scroll down. One of the people in the rap game that's getting busy with technology is our brother Nas. All right? Nas and his manager have invested in startups, and they're just getting started. Shout out to Nasir Jones for being on the forefront of the technological evolution. It only makes sense because of his mind state and where his head was at. All right? So instead of investing in liquor or instead of investing in some old kind of other stuff, he's investing in startups. He's getting that tech money right now. That's why you're not hearing a lot from him. All right? The Investor. Rap mogul talks about the entrance of supporting diverse startups. Nasir Jones, better known as Nas, reigns atop many folks' best rapper alive's list. But in the past few years, Nas have been building his cred as a tech investor. As a founding partner of LA-based Queensbridge Venture Partners, the celeb's portfolio includes some high-profile startups. He was one of the first investors in Rap Genius, Dropbox, Lyft, Walker Company brands, who founder Tristan Walker was recently profiled in Fast Company. Okay, below a Q&A with Nas, when he's talking about why he jumped into it. Here's another article on him. Top U.S. rap artist Nas and his manager Anthony Salah to invest in Asian startups. So he's tapping into that bread. Okay, while when Jay-Z raps about it, it's more yeah.
I want you to announce this real quick while the people is in the building.
Give me 1 minute. Nas is getting his investment game on, 40 startups that he's investing in. This is an old article, so I'm sure that he jumped on. Pharrell Williams is performing at startup parties, and he's also an investor. Okay, I had an article where he's an investor, and I wasn't able to put it up. All right? will.i.am is also an investor in technology. Coding is the most creative space. Okay? So he's saying the art or the language of coding is the most creating space. What's cooler, music or computer programming? I asked will.i.am, one half of the Black Eyed Peas. He said coding. He replied instantly by about 10 times, 1 trillion times. It's the most creative space. will.i.am has been fascinated by technology for years. He made a few strategic early investments, most notably in Twitter, but he does not intend to set up a venture firm like fellow celeb Ashton Kutcher. will.i.am tells me he's more of an operator than an investor, so he's learning to code and is traveling the world encouraging kids to follow in his footsteps by learning technical skills. It may come as a surprise that he's frequent fixture at MIT, where he checks out the latest wearable computer and robots at the artificial intelligence labs. His entourage just got a new addition. Lily Cam, an MIT grad, All right, so he's on the thing beating for the code. Okay. will.i.am takes on wearable tech with IAM Plus. All right, the brother's in the market of wearable tech. Google wearable tech. Wearable tech is the future. That's where people they got clothes with mini computers on it. All right. Brad Feld is a European who wrote a book called The Startup Community. I'm encouraging the family to go read about the startup community. We have communities, but they're creating what is known as startup communities. Startup communities are communities where they are coming together. The startups are joining forces and coming together and building and innovating and creating and getting a lot of money on the table. All right. So you got San Francisco, Somar neighborhood, Cambridge, Massachusetts, Lower Manhattan, Silicon Alley. All right. As of right now, as we do know, yes, these communities don't have a lot of melanated people in it. That's why we're doing this lecture to show that whatever is being done, it's still being done. It doesn't matter that it's being done by Europeans. It's being done. And you are participating in what's being done. Because when they kick out those apps like Uber and Twitter and YouTube and Facebook and all of this tech, all of these startups, you're going to participate. Stop fronting. You're participating in it right now. So if that's the case, why not start your own startup community? Why not buy a plot of land in those places? Why not in these places where we show that there's booming places where black people live? Why are we not starting, even where there's places where black people, the worst 10 places for black people, those are the cheapest properties. That's where you start your startup communities, because you could buy houses, you could buy a whole block. Let's scroll. Hold on. Go back up. Because there's all kind of charity work in it. You want to show the youth how to get off the corner killing themselves. If you could bring them in, you could bring them into the bando, but you could bring them into a house that's a startup house, or incubator, where you're teaching them through 3D printing machines. You're showing them the work. You're showing them coding. They have coding online to teach children free. There's over 100 sites. Urban tech revolution. There's all kind of urban tech, but they're the face of the urban tech revolution. They're running with the urban tech revolution. These regentrified neighborhoods, what do you think inside of those are artists in your community. Those are programmers that are moving in. Those are people that got startups that are moving in. Come on, man. Move down. They're getting bread for that too. They got grants to pay their rent. All right? Study the urban tech thing, you know. We gotta keep it flowing. All right, here you go. Here's what y'all been waiting for. 5 African technopreneurs going global. Now it's not only, you know, as you'll see, Africa's a diverse place, so we gotta work between it. But the ones that you see that you can identify with, get in touch with them. Go on Twitter and follow them. Go and Google their names. If they have a company, research the company and find out if you can invest in a company. Find out if you could become a part of the company. Find out if the company is hiring, or if they need any delegates, or if they need anybody in America to work for the company. These are your brothers and sisters. This is Africa. All right? Let's reach out to the brothers. You dig what I'm saying? Because they're out there. Given the increase, and like I said, we never hear about this in the regular news. They don't tell you that it's booming in Africa for technology, that there's billionaires being made. Given the increase in number of technology users, the rapid growth of mobility and the internet, and increasing interest in Africa as a source of solutions, innovation, and technical talent, the case for the continent being able to leapfrog in some ICT market segments, including mobile payments, is strong. Africa's ever-increasing competitive technology environment features a number of people who have attracted domestic and international attention for their skill, talents, and achievements. All right, let's run through a list of them. Our brother from Ghana, brother Dadzi. All right, Dean Dadzi. In Africa's rapidly growing startup business community, differentiation is critical in global exposure and objective. For some, this may take some time. For others, it has been quick progressing, as is the case for Dean Dadzi, co-founder and CEO of Dream Oval Limited, a provider of internet and mobile solutions, a developer of payment platforms for the financial and telecommunication sectors. Since its inception in 2007, the company has established a partner network that includes Kenya, Singapore, and the U.S. Let's go. All right, hold on. Part of Africa's emerging class of young entrepreneurs who are presenting a serious challenge to Western ideas of African economic development. Get with them. Get with them. June Arunga, founder, CEO, Open Quest Media, Kenya. June Arunga is the founder and CEO of New York-based multimedia production company Open Quest Media. The company produces content for online and traditional broadcasts and is focused on business in Africa. She is also known to have co-founded technology solutions provider Black Star Line SA with Ghana's Herman Chinnery. Arunga has been identified as one of Fast Company's 100 most creative people in business. Okay? African technopreneurs. Rebecca Inonchong from Cameroon. Tech entrepreneur Rebecca Inonchong is the founder and CEO of Apps Tech, a global provider of enterprise application solutions. The company, established in 1999, is reported to have a client base that includes 50 companies over 3 continents, Africa, Europe, and North America. Rebecca has been selected as one of the 2003 WIE African Power Women in Business. Scroll. Chenidu I don't even know. It's my brother. That's all I know. In July 2013, tech giant Apple acquired startup venture Hopstop.com, a mobile. Yeah, they acquired it for a few billion. A mobile application that provides an online city transit guide for over 100 metropolitan areas worldwide. The startup was established by Nigerian entrepreneur Chinindu Echiru. He grew up in Lagos, where he attended King's College. After completing his study, he moved to the U.S. in '95 and obtained an MBA from Harvard Business Schools and a BS from Syracuse. Well, goddamn, I would love to go to Africa and visit them. We need to take some trips and go hang out with them, because they winning. Founder and CEO, Future Software Resources Nigeria, Ms. Begho, is the managing director of a leading IT solution provider in Nigeria. She co-created FutureSoft's iConnect project, an initiative focused on education, which won the 2012 ESTE Prize for Innovation and the ASR, So she's doing big things, okay? There goes our sister, beautiful sister. She's been named to Oprah's 2012 O Power list, one of Forbes' Africa's Best Young Entrepreneurs 30 Under 30, a World Economic Forum Global Shaper, been mentioned by CNN and Africans, Marissa Myers. I thought this technology was corny. I thought it was a white man thing. I thought we was wasting your time. Huh? But it seems that somebody's catching on to it, and somebody's using it for their power. All right? But they don't teach about this. Nobody wants to talk about these people. All right? CEO and co-founder of Hihi Limited, Ira Begiza, worked with other young ICT entrepreneurs to launch the iHills, Rwanda's tech startup network, a technopreneur with a purpose to empower and mobilize the birth of an active and vibrant tech scene. A tech scene in Rwanda? And niggas don't got a tech scene in Atlanta. You don't got a tech scene in Harlem. But they got a tech scene in Rwanda, though. But y'all supposed to be helping Rwanda, right? You the ones that's going to liberate Rwanda. Okay? Here goes another. I could go on for days. These are powerful. If you read the companies that create, and it ain't no regular foo-foo companies, okay? They're not dealing with no simple stuff. They're dealing with high-level technology, okay? High-level solutions. We read the definition. We'll go over the definition of technology again. High-level solutions coming out of Africa. Something that we really need to start looking into. So here's the wealthiest ones. So on the top is a South African, Mark Shuttleworth. All right? 575 million. He sold his company. Go down. You know, he's worth 500. But right there, we got our brother. Brother Jason out of Nigeria. He's 32. Founder and CEO of Iriku TV. The maverick Nigerian internet entrepreneur is founder of Iroko TV, the world's largest digital distribution of African movies. Iroko TV has been dubbed the Netflix of Africa. Earlier this year, Iroko TV raised $8 million in venture capital from Tiger Global Management, a New York-based private equity and hedge fund run by billionaire Chase Coleman. So Iroko TV enjoys lucrative content distribution deals with Dailymotion, iTunes, Amazon, and Vimeo. Nejiku is unwilling to divulge figures, but analysts believe Iroko TV could be worth as much as $30 million. All right? And he's the largest shareholder. Here goes my other brothers, a Nigerian as well. Nigerian geek, Oluwasin. Osowa. But big brands now include Africa among the continent where their products are first launched into markets. A typical example is Nokia during the one-year anniversary of the Asha series, which was celebrated global with a global launch. Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. Learn about it. All right? Okay? Going back to those cryptocurrencies, like I said, you can create your own currency. Yes, it is almost free. I'm encouraging the family to do that. So in the epilogue of this lecture, the way that I want to wrap up this lecture, this part one of this lecture, there's the other part to it is called the conscious industry, where we go into the many industries that are inside of conscious community and how we could utilize technology, what we have at our hands, not back in the days or tomorrow, right now in the present, in order to empower us. So all I want to say is this, I'm almost positive that a lot of people, this might not even resonate with a lot of people. This might be, yo, what the fuck was he talking about? Because this might not be your field of expertise. This might not be what you're into. But like I said, pull up the definition of technology. All I did was deal with solutions or solution-based applications and what is being done in this real world. Now, it was a definition. It wasn't on that. I'm not dealing with speculation. I'm not dealing with mumbo jumbo. I'm not dealing with what we was and where we used to be. I'm dealing with what we contributed to the world, how that has played out right now, and how the world is benefiting off of that. And when are you going to take your place in the world to benefit off of some of the things that some of your ancestors left for you? Okay? So we are in this world. This world is currently in the age of information or the age of technology. We are currently in the we're not in the Stone Age anymore. We're in the electrified age or the age of light. And like I said, technology is this. This is the definition of technology. Technology, the etymology of it, techne, meaning art, skill, craft, or the way, manner, or means by which a thing is gained. Logos, meaning word, the utterance by which inward thought is expressed, a saying or an expression. So literally, technology means words or discourse about the way things are gained. So this whole lecture is technology. This whole channel is technology. Everything that we do with the information that we bring is a form of technology. Okay? So those amongst us that are in this community that wish to build and want to bring their information forth or want to bring their inventions or want to invent some of these ideas that they have, the world is yours. All right? It's open. Okay? So, we're going to end on that note. You know what I mean? Love and light to everybody that joined us. You know what I'm saying? If you want to take some calls, there's an event taking place right now that I want to plug. Yeah. Okay. And shout out to the brother KT, the Arts Degree. Shout out to Blue. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to brother Rich. You know what I mean? And yeah.
Shout out to A. Rashid.
Shout out to the Kabbalah guy A. Rashid. Shout out to Bill Valentine. Check out the brother. Shout out to Polite. Shout out to Inky. Shout out to Seti. Shout out to Amin Ra. Shout out to Ngozi. Smash Rockwell. All of the gods. Shaka, Reggie, everybody. Yeah.
All right. Peace, family. Thank y'all for tuning in.